Evening, folks. Welcome to the View and the match preview for Leeds United versus Preston North End on Sunday. I'm joined by Andrew Dalton, aka LUFC Stats. Slightly different format. We usually do the video, but I thought we'd try and do this as a live stream, mostly because the edit takes ages. And I got to the point where when we start doing the who's played for both teams, it takes me far too long, and I need to stop doing this. So I thought we'd do it, and also it gives us an opportunity to have a chat about things as well, Andrew. So, Andrew, first things first, thank you very much for joining me. How are you doing?
I'm not too bad, thank you. It's been a good start to 2024, hasn't it, for Leeds United? First time they won 3 games in a row, 3-0 in their history, through to the FA Cup 4th round. A very good opportunity to potentially get into the 5th round. I'm not quite sure what constitutes a cup run with Leeds United gear, but 5th round might do it. And a very, very good victory against Cardiff City, which just tends to be a bit of a bogey game for Leeds last time out. And also, without wanting to blow my own trumpet, my stats got used on ITV and an LU TV and by Leeds United at the weekend. So all in all, yeah, it's been a good week.
Yeah, Bryn was alluding to the fact that he has an inside man that gives him the stats. So I assumed it was you.
Yes, I do tend to help him a little bit and what have you, and it's all good. So it's just nice to sort of see my work certainly on ITV, and Craig Wilson with Leeds United, brilliant with it all as well. So yeah, nice little thing to have. And it means I've got to up my game a little bit now because the stats have been used on the official website. So I'll have to think of something a bit different come Preston on Sunday lunchtime.
I don't think you have to up your game at all, mate. The stuff that you've come out with, I've watched it for years on Twitter, and then get a chance to work with it as well. I'm delighted with it. So yeah, we've got a couple people in the chat. Somebody's saying, let's go thump Preston and give them a home game to remember. Yeah. We were talking before we came live with this about the, I suppose, our memory of Preston games, memorable Preston games. And I go back to the one where they put 6 past. Was it 6?
Yeah. The daft thing is, we were 4-1 up going just before half time. And I think John Parkin got one literally before half time. I remember turning to my pals on the ground saying, this game's nowhere near over. What I didn't expect was Preston to score 4 in the second half. And I think they got one straight from a corner as well. And to be 4-1 up and lose the game 6-4 is head scratching. And then the following season, we lost 7-3 to Nottingham Forest. So we've kind of been through the mill in that particular, and we also lost 5-0 to Blackpool. So we had in that particular era of 2010, 2011, 2012, we had some strange results, but that 6-4 one is one that will always live in the memory. And John Parkin will turn into Lionel Messi that night.
Preston is always a game that reminds me of the Championship, of us being in the Championship. Every time we see, when we got relegated and you saw the fixtures like Preston, we're back in the Championship, aren't we? That's a real Championship game. So, not always straightforward for us against Preston either, but we've got a decent record against them at home. We've only lost once in our last 11 home league games against them, which is a good record on the back of having 3 back-to-back wins in a row, including the cup, and having 3-3 nils. As an Irish person, 3-3 nils is tough. Back to back for the first time in our history, which is massive as well. Yeah. Hopefully, Andrew, we can do that again coming into this game.
Yeah, there's no easy games in the Championship, and I think we all know that, and we've seen that sort of this season, haven't we, when Sheffield Wednesday came to Ellen Road and frustrated Leeds United a little bit, and Coventry I thought were excellent. Just be the week before Christmas when they came to Ellen Road. But our home form is magnificent. It's the best in the Football League. I think we're only one of, off the top of my head, 4 teams in the 92, alongside Arsenal, Liverpool, Man City, to have an unbeaten home record in all competitions, which is something to be proud of. We're on our best run at home, I think, since season 1973-74. Although we did lose, I think, in February, we lost to Burnley, I remember, in 4-1 that season. And the only time in certainly that I can remember in the history of Leeds United that we've gone through a whole season unbeaten in all competitions was season 68-69, when we didn't lose a game. Funnily enough, in 1991-1992, we actually did lose a couple of cup games at home. We lost twice to Manchester United in the League Cup and FA Cup, and in the now defunct Zenith Data Systems Cup to Nottingham Forest. But in the league, we were unbeaten in 42 league games, so 21 league games were unbeaten at Ellen Road that season. So home form is key, and I'm hoping we've turned a corner away from home as well with that victory at the Cardiff City Stadium on Saturday.
Yeah, the Zenith Data System Cup, the Crystal Palace Cup, I believe.
That's the
They're
one.
only team to have won it, aren't they?
That's the one. Yes, they won it in 1990-91. I think they beat Everton 4-1 at Wembley.
Yeah.
And the last winners were Nottingham Forest back in 92. Whether they kept the cup, I don't know. Any Nottingham Forest people out there, they beat Southampton at Wembley in the last ever competition before the formation of the Premier League back in the summer of 1992.
Yeah, I was going to say it was. I was pretty young when that was out, which is a rare thing to be able to say about milestones like this. But I think I'm right in saying this. I could be very wrong. I thought the Zenith Data System Cup came on the back of a Sky Sports pushed cup. I think it was the TV Premier League.
It kind of started when teams were banned from Europe. I think it was after the Heysel disaster in 85. There was a Sun Sports Screen Cup as well, which I think was a bit of a Sky or certainly a satellite TV cup as well. So yeah, the attendances weren't great in the ZDS. It had so many different names. I think it was the full members cup as well, and obviously Leeds played in the JPT Cup, didn't they, for 3 seasons between 2007 and 2010, getting to the Northern Irish.
Never won it. We never won it. I joked at the time when we got relegated to League One. I joked at the time by saying we're going to go down just so we can win a trophy on the way back up, and we win. We get to Wembley, and we never won the thing.
Yeah. But hey, we got beat by Carlisle on penalties, and I think we went through a little bit of a slippy slope around January, February time after beating Man United in the FA Cup. But thankfully, Leeds being Leeds go down on the last day of the season, which kind of brings me to the fact we play Southampton on the last day of this season. I'd like it to all be decided by then. Yeah, I can't sit through a last day of the season game. I think my nerves would be way too overboard. But a lot of football to play. There's 19 games to be played. There's 57 points available between now and that game against Southampton at the start of May, and starting against Preston North End on TV on Sunday lunchtime.
Yeah, let's try and get our job done before the end of the season, although it will be a very Leedsy thing to do to go into the last game of the season with everything riding on it, and probably result pictures not going our way. And it's a tough run, and we've got a really tough run. And the running we have if I remember correctly, the running we have at the end of the year is very similar to the teams we played in December. So we have that little tricky spell there, and we've got that to fix, although some of those fixtures will be at home, which will definitely help us. In terms of the positions, we know we're in 4th place in the table. We're only 4 points behind Southampton. We're 7 points off of Ipswich, which looked like it was going to be a lot less on the weekend the way it had started. Preston, Preston won 2 of their last 5 games. We were one of those 2 games that they won. Leeds had 3 wins in the last 5 league games, 2 losses in that as well. Some form to rectify for Leeds and avoid a similar result against Preston.
Yeah, it's a tricky game because Preston will come knowing that the beat is at Deepdale, which we'll talk about, I'm sure, shortly on Boxing Day, and they'll be looking to do the double over Leeds. I think it's the first time since the 1950s, so it won't be easy. But our home form is the best in the league; it's second to none. We haven't dropped too many points at home this season, and it's an opportunity to put a bit of pressure on Southampton Ipswich. I think they're on TV as well. I think Southampton at Swansea, I want to say, at the weekend. I think the early kickoff on Saturday lunchtime, and I believe Ipswich play Leicester on Monday night, I want to say. Off the top of my head, I might be wrong there. So they all play different times, and it'd be interesting to see what the league table looks like sort of come Tuesday morning. And of course, Leeds play Norwich City on Wednesday night in that rearranged game, the FA Cup tie. So it's a busy week. It's an important week for Leeds. And if I can get 6 points, all of a sudden the pressure on Southampton and Ipswich looks very, very different.
Yeah, and that's what we Leeds need to do from this point on, is to keep the pressure on, is to keep them looking over their shoulder. They always say it's easier chasing than it is holding. So the pressure is heavier on those that are ahead. Although Southampton are in a fantastic run of form at the moment. They really have put some amazing results together. After a very shaky start for them to leapfrog us, and you can see how close that gap was. They moved into 2nd place at the weekend for a couple of hours anyway before they dropped back out of it, that could have been us. That could have been us if we'd just picked up those points in December. Moving into this game and looking at the team news, we as far as we know, Firpo and Byram are okay. There was positive news of them during the week, and it looks like they should be involved, assuming nothing has happened over the last couple of days in training. Daniel Farke, obviously tomorrow at the press conference, will tell us that. Liam Cooper is expected to be out of the game still with his injury, as is Pascal Stroke is expected to be out of the game, which leaves question marks around the middle of the park. And I wanted to talk about this before we get to the right back situation, which will be a topic of itself. We want to talk about that. You've got Ilya Groove, who put in a stunning performance in his last match.
Fantastic.
Say it again.
Absolutely fantastic. I thought it was brilliant against Cardiff, and he's bided his time, hasn't he? And obviously he's had Glenn Kamara in there with Ethan Ampadu, off the Ethan Ampadu, who's played the last couple of games at centre half. So it's just nice to have these options. And personally, it's an interesting one because I know we said sort of off camera that Archie Gray against Liam Miller. Now Liam Miller probably had got the better of Archie Gray the game on Boxing Day, but Archie will be buoyed by the news of a new contract this week. It'll be buzzing to get out on that park on Sunday lunchtime, and it'll be a real roses battle. So yeah, team selection come 11 o'clock, which is quite early to get team news for a football match. It'll be quite intriguing.
Yeah, it really will. What do you think Leeds will do? So there's a couple of question marks. We assume Ethan Ampadu will drop in at the centre back. I would. Anyone brave enough to ask a Charlie Cresswell question tomorrow in the press conference, best of luck with that. Whoever asked that question, the reaction they're going to get from Daniel Farke for asking it. So you assume Ethan Ampadu is going to go in and play in at centre back, which he was excellent in at the weekend, last week as well, which means Ilya Groove will possibly play in centre mid. Then the question mark is around what happens at right back. Does Daniel Farke look at Sam Byram at right back or Jamie Shackleton at right back and take Archie Gray out of there because of the issues he faced against Liam Miller the last time? Or does he see if he's learnt anything as a young player from that situation and put him up against him again to see what the difference will be second time around with some learnings put in? What do you think?
I think it's a very interesting question, and for me, I'd personally play Archie Gray there because certainly as a young footballer, you only learn from your past experiences. And I know it's very interesting to see what the comments say and what the fans say, but I personally wouldn't change a winning team. We won quite convincingly at Cardiff at the weekend. Could have been 4. Obviously, Cree's penalty hit the post. That's another thing we don't. If Leeds gets to Wembley and it gets a penalty shootout, I don't think I'll be watching Leeds records in penalty kicks this season. But yeah, going back to the point, personally, I think it'd be the same team. I don't see a reason to change it. I think Arch would have learned from the game against Preston. And the issue is, and if he does change it and Barham has a good game, then what happens to Archie? I think it'd be very unlucky to be dropped for the Norwich game. The one intriguing thing is, for me, 3 games in a week, Preston on Sunday, Norwich on Wednesday night, Plymouth on next Saturday in the FA Cup 4th round. I think the Plymouth game will be the game where he does make changes because I don't think you can play the same players for 3 games in 6 days. So yeah, I think he's got some selections to make. It's a bit like a Christmas period with games in short space of time. But for me, injuries permitting, obviously we don't know what Daniel's going to say in his press conference tomorrow. I'd stick with the same starting 11 that won so convincingly against Cardiff. And I think they eased off a little bit in the second half. They earned the right to do that. Scored a magnificent 3rd goal through Jorginho Ruta. And yeah, I don't see a reason to change it, really.
Yeah, he's not a man that changes a winning side. He's very formulaic in what he does. If you win, if you've earned your place, he keeps you in there and you do your job, and well done. It'd be an interesting one. The Plymouth game is a really interesting shout as well. It was probably one that we did win 2-1, but we were a little bit shaky in the second half. We dropped off the pace a little bit and let them back into the game a bit. Yeah. So it'll be interesting with that in the back of his head of the drop in performance in the second half against Plymouth and making significant changes. Stoke and Rotherham pop into my head straight away about changes that were made that didn't work.
Yes, it's interesting because I don't think Daniel can actually win in what he does, because if he does change it and then the result goes against us, which I don't think it will, fans will start saying, why have you made all the changes? If we don't make any changes and we don't get the result, fans will say, why didn't you make any changes? So as a manager, you can't really win in that situation. But as I say, for me, I'd keep the same team. There's no reason not to. I think the home form is absolutely outstanding. And I think that will continue, certainly against Preston and most possibly against Norwich on Wednesday night at Ellen Road.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. It really is going to be interesting. The other topic of conversation is going to be up front. What we think will happen there. Pat Bamford on a good running streak. I've seen comments from Don't Go to Bed Just Yet where the conversation was they'd rather have a Paddy Bamford tap in than a 25-yard screamer. And I think we all would have 30 goals a season from tap ins, no problem. I that every day over a handful of screamers.
I think he needed that goal against Birmingham, didn't he? Because he was he probably, I don't know if he'll admit it or not, was he suffering a little bit of confidence in front of the goal? And then the goal against Peterborough was just an absolute worldie. And all of a sudden, that confidence comes flooding back. We've seen what he can do. He scored, 54 goals for Leeds, which is no mean feat. And a fit Paddy Bamford, in my opinion, is one of the best strikers in this league. He also did it in the Premier League when he scored, I think, 17 goals in obviously the lockdown season. He's got in his locker, and I certainly think the last 3 games have helped Paddy enormously. And again, I don't see any reason to not include him in the starting 11. Again, the big question will be come the Plymouth game a week on Saturday. What does Daniel Farke do with his team for the FA Cup 4th round? That's to be answered probably next Friday or next Thursday in that press conference there. But I think every Leeds fan wants to see Paddy do well. And I know he's had his certainly common issues, obviously, with the Stoke City penalty miss. That cost Leeds, I won't say cost Leeds again, because you win as a team, you lose as a team. Yeah, but he's come back fighting. And we've seen a different side. That goal against Peterborough United was absolutely fantastic. And I don't think any football fan out there would say any different. Any Leeds fan out there would say any different. And it was a brilliant strike. And I'm really pleased for him. And I think he'll probably score again on Sunday afternoon. He's not scored in 4 against Leeds in his history, so that'll be one to watch out for Paddy on Sunday afternoon. But yeah,
it can be streaky though.
Yeah,
it can be streaky.
He can. If he goes on a run, he can go on a run, and to get 3 and 3 is absolutely fantastic. And hopefully, he can make it 4 and 4. Then against Norwich, one of his former clubs, midweek. So yeah, that's a fit. Paddy Bamford is a frightening thought for Championship defences. He holds the ball up so well. He brings other players into the game. He makes fantastic runs on and off the ball. I'm just really that guy about Lord Bamford. And yeah, I want Paddy to do. I want Paddy to succeed. I think every Leeds fan wants Paddy to succeed. And hopefully now through that sort of barren spell and 3 goals in 3 games is fantastic. And no one can ask any more. And as I say, fit Patrick Bamford is a reason to be cheerful, certainly from my perspective, that he will score more goals in the Championship by the end of the season.
Yeah, he's had a tough time, Paddy. He's gone through an awful lot. I've said myself that I felt that the divide between the fans and Paddy had gotten so big at one point. It's probably better for him and everybody else for a move at some point for his own career as well. Because you don't like to see people struggling, especially professional footballers. You don't like to see them stuck and struggling. He was so good for us in the Premier League, in the first year in the Premier League and the promotion season. To see him what he was this year was like a shell of the former self. But then you see there is still glimpses of the old Paddy Bamford in there, and they're becoming more regular now. You know? Yeah,
absolutely. He just needs any striker will have a dip in confidence, unless you know Lionel Messi. Even the best in the world will go through games when they don't hit the target or score goals. Even Harry Kane has, I'm sure, during some time in his career. So yeah, we want the old Paddy back. We're starting to see it back, and that goal against Peterborough United will do him the power of good. And the tap-ins mean more as well, because they all hit the back of the net, as Paddy said himself in the post-match interview on LUTV against Peterborough, that he'd rather have a tap-in. He got a tap-in against Cardiff, and they all count, and he got Leeds on its way, and Leeds went on to win the game by 3-0.
It's been the ability to break down these teams that don't want to play against us, these teams that park the bus and sit in. And what's been missing for us is, I've left Southie's comment up on the screen because I want to get to that in a second. There's a question I want to ask in the back of that because it's a good point. You look at how many balls that Dan James has put across the 6-yard line this season, that there's been nobody there to tap them in, because Jorginho was playing there and he likes to roam around a little bit. But what you've seen with Paddy is he will occupy the 2 centre backs. He will stay in those central areas once the ball goes out wide, and he will get those little toe pokes and tap ins. So it does add into this comment that Southie's put on the chat, which says our transfer windows changed massively due to Paddy being back on his game. Also Firpo, to be honest. I think the Firpo less so, but the Paddy one, yes, because I think we've seen Jorginho Rutter go into that number 10 position and be very, very good. And going back to the conversations at the start of the year where we all said Pirro's a 9 and Rutter's a 10, and we had all the fans and everybody else was disagreeing with Farke and he was disagreeing with us. Now you're starting to see that Rutter has become a really good number 10 and can be a very creative force to help break down those low blocks. So that alone, with Paddy then tapping the ball in and getting in on the goal sheet, means that the number 10 position probably isn't what Leeds need now. Then they can focus on the fullbacks instead.
Yeah, and it's interesting. I think we've always had a problem with left backs and right backs, unfortunately, with Leeds. I think Firpo showed against Birmingham that, again, he'd got in his locker. And again, another player that he probably was lacking a little bit of confidence. Last season was a very tough season for everyone around the football club. Relegation probably didn't help that, and Junior probably needed his career rebuilding a bit. He missed the start season through injury, came off the bench, and for me put a very solid performance in against Birmingham, and did the same against Cardiff at the weekend. So I it's just confidence, isn't it? It's I was always positive, even when we lost to West Brom just after Christmas. I went on social media and said, look, we've just been Ipswich 2 weeks ago, 4-0 handsomely. We've lost a couple of games. It doesn't make Daniel Farke a bad manager. It doesn't make Leeds a bad team. It happened in the Championship. We had a poor start to the season through extenuating circumstances because there was a lot still to sort out going on behind the scenes ahead of the new campaign. And for me, we're fourth. We've got 19 games to go. There's a lot of points to play for between now and the end of the season. And I'm quietly confident. And I said it all along that Leeds will finish second. I still think we will. And I still think we're on the start of a run now, where we've got some very winnable games coming up. Yes, we've got some very tough games coming up against the likes. Also, I think we go down to Ashton Gate. We've got a busy mid-February against Swansea and Plymouth, two very long journeys over there.
Leicester as well in February as well.
And Leicester as well. So we've got some big games coming up. But I think now that he's got his squad back, injuries are starting to come back, players are getting back into form, and I think all goes well. And we've got an opportunity now with the next two home games to put some real points on the board before Southampton Ipswich all play again. So I think it's a pivotal week, this. And also we've got the transfer window going on in the background, which we don't quite know how that's going to turn out come the start of February. But on the pitch, I think it's looking very, very positive.
It appears that every right back and left back in England or associated with anybody in England has been linked with Leeds right now, which was always going to happen when a manager says in the press conference, we probably need a left back. And then you return one right back from a loan and you send another one out. You're like, pretty obvious Leeds, I think we've played our hand in this situation. We might not get the deals we want, but there's a couple moving on. It'd be interesting to see. What's your thoughts on Ben Davies, by the way, being linked? It's an interesting because he's 31 years of age.
Yeah, he's a very good player. Ben Davies, another Welshman to add to the ever-growing list at Ellen Road. But yeah, I'd be certainly up for that if that was to happen. I think it's going to be very interesting because obviously they've got 3 games in 6 days. And I think after the Plymouth game on the 27th, it'll give Leeds a chance just to breathe and then assess everything leading up to the Bristol City game on the Friday night. I think Ben Davies would be a very solid signing, to be honest with you. But it's all guesswork, isn't it, at the moment? It's all speculation. And Leeds are very clever because they play the cards close to the chest. No one knew anything about the Archie Gray transfer contract. And I think that's the way I like it. And I think the 49ers should be commended on that. There'll probably be a name out there that just surprises us all come January the 28th onwards. So I personally think Leeds will be busy. I know there's rumours today with Willie Nonto potentially going to West Ham and Benson coming in from Burnley as his replacement. But again, let's just see where we are. I think after the Plymouth game, I think that'll give Greta Steinson is doing a wonderful job. Nick Cameron is doing a wonderful job in the background, an opportunity to see what's what and where we are for the second half of the season, really.
Yeah, the key line for me was patience in the window. We won't be pushed into panic boys. That's okay.
And I'm one of these fans that it takes time in January. It's not an easy window. It's January because clubs are very reluctant to lose players, and I think patience is a virtue, really, for certainly this transfer window. If the right player comes available, Farke has always said that we'll try and get them. So I think let's get this next week out of the way. I don't think you'll see too much in the lead up to first of all see Preston on Friday and then Norwich on Wednesday night and Plymouth the following week. So yeah, I'm positive with the transfer window, and after the summer transfer window with the players that we brought in and the likes of sort of Joe Rodon coming in and Joel Piroux as well, players will. I'm sure players will come in by the end of January, beginning of February.
Yeah, I still think we'll do 2 minimum. I think we'll see 2 come in. There has been some stories out from another journalist that says the West Ham Willie Gnonto situation isn't happening, that West Ham have other interests and other targets, but at the same time, it came out this morning from what was supposed to be an exclusive inside. You never really know with them. You pick them with a pinch of salt. Yeah, the 49ers do a great job of keeping everything quiet. Not great from a content creation point of view when your daily job is daily Leeds news and they're not telling us anything, but I do from a fan perspective, I do prefer it that way. We're not doing our business in public. We're keeping our cards close to our chest.
Yeah, I
and
think
that's great.
fans just need to calm down a little bit, and things will happen. Things will definitely happen between now and the start of February, and they know what they're doing at Ellen Road, and that's shown my way on the league table.
Yeah. Look, we've been burned in the past with transfer windows, so that's where I think the fear comes from with fans, and we tend to react to that as like, oh, look, we're going to do nothing. We've had we had the Adam Forshaw, Pat Bamford transfer window where we didn't need a central midfielder because Forshaw was returning, and we had an international number 9, so we didn't need a striker. Lo and behold, we needed both until the season went on. So South's also just put in the chat there, no news with the 49ers usually equals good news, and I would agree with that as well.
Fully agree. And there's always one name that haunts me in the January transfer window is Jean-Kevin Augustin. I remember being on holiday. I think I was in Scarborough when that news came through, and I thought, wow, we signed a real superstar here in the Championship as far as to promotion. Didn't quite work out that way, did it? With that one. So they've learned the lesson. I know it's a different board. It's a different board, and I think patience is a virtue when it comes to the January transfer window.
You can be pleasantly surprised as well. I think when Rafinha came in, from what we'd seen from Rafinha in France, nobody was overly excited about that. We're thinking we're getting a Brazilian, but he's in France. Is he really that? And then we saw what he did. So you can be pleasantly surprised, or you can be shocked and disappointed at the same time, depending on what happened. But I think seeing what the 49ers are building around recruitment team and bringing scouts back into the Leeds fold and having scouts out there looking at people properly rather than using databases of players that they had been doing under Victor, I think it's a much more solid professional base to build a team around. And I think they're doing their due diligence, and I trust them with that. So
very much so.
Andrew, before we finish up, because this is not going to be a long stream, it's going to be a short one, and it will be a short one every week when we do the preview. Team information or stats on the players leading into the game are things to watch out for.
Yeah, the one main one I've got, obviously, looking to win his third consecutive league game in a row for the first time since the Premier League days, the first in the Premier League back in May 2021. Patrick Bamford is on 54 goals for Leeds United. One more goal will take him to 55, level with Lee Bowyer. Sam Byram is on 155 appearances, just 2 behind Gaetano Berardi. Hopefully, over the next couple of weeks, he'll hit that. Illan Meslier has now made 151 appearances. Obviously, we won't talk about his 150th appearance. If he does play on Sunday lunchtime, I assume he will do. He will join level with a certain Jermaine Beckford, of course, who used to play for both Preston and Leeds United. We know Pascal Stewart's out. And one thing to watch out for is a red card in this game. Off the top of my head, back in the playoff days, back in 2005-06, Leeds had 2 players sent off, Stephen Crane and Richard Cresswell, in the playoff final. Ben Pearson seen red. Jermaine Beckford seen red in this fixture back at Deepdale in 2016-2017. Ryan Ledson seen red, I think, in a League Cup tie back in 2018-2019. And, of course, Illan Meslier saw red as well at Deepdale as well. So there's always something going on in this game. And also Jordan Pickford saw red in this game, I believe, back in 2015-16 when Leeds won by a goal to 0. The scorer that day was Alan Brown, who's still at Preston 7 years on. So plenty to get yourself into. And it's Leeds are looking for victory number 1993. They are 8 away from the Magic 2000 in all competitions. And that's one I will be keeping an eye on between hopefully the next 8 or 9 games.
The one to watch for me this week will be Liam Miller. And what he does. That will be the one to keep an eye on for me in this week. This has been, as you've already said, this has been a spicy fixture in the past. It was spicy last time we played, and there was a lot of heavy tackles that went in. Some potential cards that could have gone the other way. Red cards that could have gone against Preston rather than for Preston. So this will be an interesting one. It'll be a packed out Ellen Road, no doubt. It'll be a loud Ellen Road as well. So fingers crossed we get 3 points. Andrew, do you have a score prediction for this game, or do you want to leave it?
I'm positive. I'm going to go 4-0. I think Leeds will come out all guns blazing. I think they'll have a point to prove after the disappointment of Boxing Day when Preston beat Leeds 2-1. And I think they're confident. It's oozing through the squad at the moment. You saw with the victory at Cardiff. And I think they'll be putting a little bit of pressure on both Southampton and Ipswich again this weekend.
Yeah. I'm agreeing with Southie here. I'm going 3-0 again. Why not?
Perfect.
Why not? we have it in us right now. So
we do.
Yeah, I mean, interesting one. Fingers crossed for 3 points. And before you all head out the door and say goodbye, stick a like on the video if you don't mind. That would be great. I'd really appreciate that. And that's going to be it for us this week. We'll be back next week with a match day preview, or before the next game, which probably isn't next week. It's midweek, isn't it?
Yes.
And then I'll be back on tomorrow morning with Leeds news because it's Friday. I won't be doing press conference reaction. I'll leave Joe to do that. I will be out early in the morning to make sure we get some news out. Fingers crossed for some news of player incomings. I think we'll have to wait till next week, though, to see that. But we'll play that by ear. So massive thanks as always for watching and supporting the channel. And I will see you soon. See you. Bye.